Hello everybody, I am Almalki. I'm PhD student at University of Birmingham in the UK. My discussion point is evaluating the experiences of digitalization and virtuality in a contemporary Saudi museum Ithra and their role in shaping the national identity of Saudi Arabia through the preservation of cultural heritage. Museums are trusted to provide a link that integrates people with their past in contemporary setting. In this manner, they assert the national identity and cultural heritage of people. How museums achieve this goal has been significantly affected by technological advancement. Many museums have adopted by offering virtual access to their display and remaining engaged with their audiences. For example, the Ithra Museum has developed the use of digitalization and virtuality, which can be witnessed in the work of the King Abdulaziz Center for World Culture, Ithra, in Saudi Arabia. Notably, this study aims to bridge the knowledge gap by offering an evaluation of the experiences of digitalization and virtuality of Ithra's visitors, considering the site as a post-digital museum in Saudi Arabia. As defined by Barry, the post-digital museum is that in which the case can be seen for, the visitor's acceptance is established for, and the best practice and evidence are available for the normative use and management of digital. The primary concern, presuppositions, and nomenclature of modern museological and digital heritage research should now address the post-digital. The aim is to investigate the effectiveness of using digital collections system in the museum and its role in shaping the national identity of Saudi Arabia through the preservation of cultural heritage. Furthermore, this research will expound on the role of Islamic visual culture in forming Saudi Arab and Muslim identity. This project will be an original investigation of a foundational moment for Ithra, which is being promoted as both a celebration of Saudi Arabia heritage and an opportunity to embrace the rapid transformation associated with the Vision 2030 National Plan, which envisages a future beyond reliance on the oil industry. In a wider sense, this project provides a unique opportunity to evaluate a national museum in an international context. Consequently, a critical reflection on the future has the potential to deliver recommendations for the use of digitalization and virtuality in museums, while also contributing to ongoing and future research in this emerging field. Accordingly, this project aims to offer a major contribution from a nation whose cultural production has seldom been closely investigated by Western scholars. As a result, this research project aims to meaningfully contribute to the diversity of the vibrant international research community by investigating Arab and Islamic perspective and evaluating its practices. As a culture and heritage center, Ithra is the first to respond to the increasing interest in and consciousness of Islamic heritage in Saudi Arabia, where technology and Islam are being linked in museum display. As a result, this exhibition gives one a feeling of pride in Islamic heritage, since Islamic visual culture is a living tradition that continues to frame Saudi identity. Ithra is located in Dhahran, Saudi Arabia. Ithra, which is derived from the Arabic word for enrichment, is a venue for art, innovation, and culture. It's devoted to education and advancement. Ithra objective is to promote the creative economy by supporting the work of individuals in the visual, cinematic, media, and performing art, as well as in design and entrepreneurship. 5 exhibitions at the Ithra Museum are devoted to a journey of discovery through time. The museum features interactive display, informative talk, and guided tour. The Funun variety of art gallery focuses on international and Saudi contemporary art. The Ajial Gallery, people of an era and time, explores Saudi heritage. The Kunuz Gallery treasures present the beauty of Islamic design and history. The Rihlat Journey Gallery explores the diverse natural ecosystem and history of the Arabian Peninsula, and Aramco Rama Art of Safety highlights Aramco's history from the archive. As a part of the nation's Vision 2030 project, adoption of latest technology and digitalization has been implemented to develop Saudi Arabia's culture landscape by integrating it into a technological world, which enhances its online presence. What is evident at the Ithra Museum is that digital interpretation permeates all the exhibitions and collections. For instance, the Agial Gallery, a synthesis of the traditional and the contemporary, is devoted to showcasing the kingdom's rich culture through the history of its regions. The Agial Gallery's Being Saudi exhibition uses an innovative method to share the cultural heritage of the Saudi Arabian Kingdom by using interactive screen where the exhibition's content is shown in Arabic and English language, employing poetry, music, dress, and patterns in a non-traditional manner. For example, visitors can learn about the kingdom's traditional attire, which frequently reflected the social position of the wearer and varied according to their place of origin. The Eastern region, for instance, features the most frequently used attire for ladies, the masara, which is reserved for special occasions. Virtual towers are also available as a part of Ithra content. The Center Online Content Initiative at www.ithra.com. Virtual Tower present as an immersive and deeper exploration of Ithra Museum. For instance, the Damascus Room at Gallery Knowes, a virtual version, is available online. The magnificently painted Damascus Room dates from 1766 to 1767 and is one of the most complete and intact two-ted reception rooms in any museum's collection. The core of the kingdom is rooted in its Islamic heritage. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and its people have a unique link to Islam due to this area being the birthplace of the Islamic faith and culture. Furthermore, we must recognize Islamic visual culture as a living tradition that continues to form the modern Saudi, Arab, and Muslim identities. Also, the emphasis put on museums as intermediaries in fostering a bond between people and their past should be noted. The opening of Ithra can be considered the result of a deeper interest in Islamic heritage among the Saudi community. For instance, the Islamic Civilization Gallery Knowes at Ithra provides a unique chance to reconnect Islamic culture objects with the nations, regions, and societies from which they originated. For example, non-Arab regions and cultures in sub-Saharan Africa and Southeast Asia. The approach of this research is the qualitative and quantitative method that is represented in a questionnaire which has open-ended questions and close-ended questions aiming to shed light on the effectiveness of using digital collection system in the Ithra Museum. It was decided to conduct an online survey. This was distributed remotely online via my social media platforms such as Twitter, WhatsApp, Snapchat, and email to people who live in the east of Saudi Arabia, who had personal experience visiting Ithra Museum or had taken a virtual tour of museum online. This population forms the sample because the study is interested in evaluating people's experiences with digitalization and virtuality in Ithra Museum and exploring how these experiences impact their national identity and cultural heritage. The survey participants were 122 who answered all questions except for 2 participants didn't answer any questions. The questionnaire was divided into 4 sections. Section A covered the demographics of the respondents. Section B, respondents were asked about their interaction experience with digital tools at Ithra Museum during their visit. Section C, Respondents were asked about their interaction experience with the Ithra website, virtual tower, and Ithra social media. Section D. Respondents were asked about Saudi culture heritage and national identity via Islamic art and Islamic civilization at the Ithra Museum. There are three significant points in my findings. The first one is familiarity with digital tools. In general, respondents found that the digital tools were helpful in improving their visit to the museum and presented them with easy to see and easy to understand information. They found the tools educational and enjoyed the speed of the technology and the fact that they could learn independently without having to ask the museum staff. The first table shows the percentage distribution of responses, how helpful the digital tools were for navigating the museum and helping you understand its content. 70% of response answered extremely helpful all the time, 22% of response answered very helpful most of the time, 8% of response answered neither helpful nor unhelpful. The second table shows the percentage distribution of response. To what extent did the digital tools you used improve your exhibition visit? 52% of response answered very much, 26% of response answered quite a lot, 17% of response answered a bit, 5% of response answered not very much and not at all. The second point is the Ithra Museum website. In summary, most respondents seem to have had a positive experience of the website, which might have been why they didn't answer later questions that required them to be critical. However, there were requests for technological software improvement to make the site more robust and easier to use. This pie chart highlights distribution of response. How easily were you able to learn independently about the exhibits on the museum website? 50% of the respondents answered it was very easy to learn. 31% of response answered it was somewhat easy to learn. 15% of response answered it was neither easy nor difficult to learn. 4% of response answered it was very difficult to learn. The second chart shows the distribution of response. Did artifacts and the virtual towers display clear information? Under 45% of response answered all the information was clear. Under 35% of response answered most of the information was clear. Under 20% of response answered the information was neither clear nor unclear. Under 5% of response answered most of the information was unclear. Almost 1% of response answered all the information was unclear. The third point of my finding is Saudi culture heritage and national identity via Islamic art and Islamic civilization at the Ithra Museum. The responses to statements which are related to culture heritage and national identity were strongly and somewhat in agreement with the role of culture heritage and national identity in museums in general and the Ithra Museum. This chart shows percentage distribution of overall agreement on digital technology and culture heritage. 58.6% of response answered strongly agree, 30.3% of response answered somewhat agree, 9.8% of response answered neither agree nor disagree, 1.1% of response answered somewhat disagree, 0.4% of response answered strongly disagree. This figure shows the mean response of three important statements on displaying national identity via Islamic art and Islamic civilization in Ithra Museum. There were three important statements the researcher can highlight on them due to their importance of the study. The statement Ithra Museum display national identity via Islamic art and Islamic civilization came in the rank 12th with mean of response of 4.41 and percentage of agreement 87%, While the statement Ithra Museum was first to respond to the growing interest in and consciousness of Islamic heritage in Saudi Arabia, came rank 19th with mean of responses of 4.10 and percentage of agreement of 73%, and the statement Ithra Museum is about Islamic civilization came in rank 20th with mean of responses of 4.3 and percentage of agreement 79%. The Islamic Museum have always and continue to play a significant role in the establishment of a facility for comprehending, learning, and teaching the Islamic contribution to the growth of the world through the application of science and technology. This research found that Islamic museums really find digitalization researchful and effective as Islamic history is integrated with the modern world, thus keeping conservative bias away. Therefore, previous researchers highlighted the fact that Islamic museums all over the world provide an effective way to showcase the artistic triumphs and achievements of the Islamic world. It appears that a variety of innovative and sophisticated digital technology are being used by Ithra as a post-digital museum to raise the value of digital product and make culture heritage more accessible to a wider audience. The opportunities provided by digitalization and virtuality have created a bridge between Saudi Arabia past and the present, preserving culture and fostering a sense of national identity. By emphasizing Islamic civilization as the country's distinctive identity in its interactive exhibits, Ithra has made a vital contribution to the preservation of the nation's identity. The survey's results presented above provide conclusive evidence that the public at the Ithra Museum is technologically literate and that they appreciate the museum's investment in cutting-edge museum technology, especially for the younger generation. Many viewers, however, complain about the poor quality of the virtual tour technology and the organization of the website. Therefore, they should expand the virtual and digital service provided by Ithra Museum. This would help these efforts to progress and enable audience to recognize the role of digital technology in sharing different ideas with them. It would enable them to recognize the presence of diverse cultures and opinions behind what is displayed in museum. Thus, this might lead to increased awareness of Saudi Arabia's cultural heritage and its role in contributing to the strengthening of Saudi Arabia's national identity through its culture and heritage. Next step of this research, some researchers strongly believe that the digitalization of artifacts erodes their originality and the true value of cultural heritage, thereby undermining the ability of museums when it comes to preserving cultural heritage and asserting national identity. To achieve this, future work will evaluate the notion of authenticity from a quantitative perspective, aiming to analyze visitors' perception of authenticity at Ithra Museum by using closed-ended questionnaire. Thank you for everybody.